So have you ever felt like you spend too much at the store for eating healthy? But today we're talking about that very thing. Is eating healthy too expensive? Today I have Miss Charlene Griffith. She is a health motivator who helps strong professional women over 40 protect their greatest asset, their health, so that they can thrive at work, at home, and in life. Through her Healthy by Design framework, Charlene empowers women to apply biblical principles to restore balance and vitality by losing stubborn weight naturally, supporting hormonal health, boosting metabolism and energy, managing stress effectively, and lastly, learning to rest and nourish their body. So, without further ado, Charlene, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dakota, for inviting me. I'm looking forward to party conversations today.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, yeah, with that bio, man, I just tell her about who you are, just real quick. I mean, I did a bio, but I am going to hear from your words though.
Yeah, like I said, I'm Charlene Griffith. I am from Barbados. In case you guys don't know where Barbados is, it's in the Caribbean. And for the last, how much year, decade or so, I have been, working on my health. And for me, I have seen the progress that I have made in terms of where I was like 10 or so years ago to now. And for me, the inspiration is to help other persons because you look around, you see people are actually struggling and people are struggling with their weight, their energy, and they're thinking like this is normal. But it's not normal. Just because it's common doesn't mean that it's normal, or what I should say is really not really God's intention for our life. And so instead of settling for, just ordinary, just encouraging women to just go after better health.
All right, cool. So let's begin where you are now, and tell us currently how your health is and your relationship with finances. How are they connected?
Oh yeah. So I feel like I'm not at a growth phase because I'm not where I want to be. I guess no one is where they want to be. My goals is to make millions. I'm not there yet. I definitely want to be stronger as an individual, fitter. So those are things that I'm still pursuing. One of the things that I remember reading from the book by Rabbi Diane Lappin, Thou Shall Prosper. One of the things he said, in order to build wealth, you have to become a different person. And that really, caught my attention because he said, if you could have produced the results you were looking for, being the person you are, you wouldn't be in this current position. And so for me, like that really stood out for me. And like over the last few years, since reading that book, is like I began to look inwards and stop making that excuse because sometimes we constantly make the excuse, that's just my personality or just how I grew up. And we hold on to, these excuses because it prevent us from taking responsibility, right? And for me, it's like I want better. And if I want to produce better results, I have to begin to change who I am. And it's uncomfortable because it's like we like to hold on to the right to be who we are. And this quote that I read is like all of a sudden it's like, no, you can't hold on to that. You have to begin to take responsibility for your growth. And like I said, I spent a lot of time in the last 3 years really looking inward, really challenging my limiting beliefs, replacing those beliefs with more beliefs of abundance. Changing my belief as to my health after 40 and not just accepting like this is just normal after 40, changing in terms of my belief as what is possible in terms of building business, in terms of building wealth. And not only my belief now, all of a sudden now I had to begin to adopt new way of doing things, habits. No, it's sometimes we got a lot of habits that we like to hold on to, but those habits don't necessarily want to going to take us in the direction that we would like. So I begin to have to do things differently, begin to do things that the person that I wanted to be will begin to do on a daily basis, doing simple things consistently on a daily basis. Over time you begin to see changes. And I believe like um and I didn't know about the whole idea of be, do, have. So I was working on being and then doing, and eventually I will have in terms of the results that I am looking for. So that's where I am now in terms of really working on my growth in this area.
Got you. So share a story about your health issues you had and how you overcame them. Talk about your journey.
Ugh, yeah. So this is a long time I started working on my health. This is about what? A decade ago. I always had challenges with my like respiratory issues. And so I remember it was probably after summer. And like just over a space of the like months leading up to that time, I was just constantly going to the doctor, bleeding all the time. It was beginning to become, really hard, emotionally and mentally, because all of a sudden I felt like I am no longer in control of my health. And yes, and it was costly going to the doctor all the time and medication, but it was more so affecting me emotionally because all of a sudden I felt, that I was no longer in control. And, I began to try to look for a solution because I was like, I don't want to live this life. And you're looking to your doctor for solutions. And I guess all they knew was medication. I was like, no, no, I don't want to be dependent on this. And then when you realize, like, actually, my breathing was getting worse. And that was scary for me. It's like all the time I was going to the doctor, getting antibiotics, getting inhalers, and my health was not improving. Actually, was getting worse because I was becoming more dependent on these things. So then it's like I say, you know what, I have to do something about this. And I remember a colleague, she had mentioned like some challenges she was having, seeing respiratory issues. She was talking about diet, how like, diet impacted how she was feeling as things like that, the different things that the changes she began to make. And I began to really, be really intentional about doing a lot of research on this topic. So, dealing, going into diet, natural health, and all these different things. And I began to, start to implement these things. And it's over a long period of time because I was doing it, alone. I didn't have a coach at this time. I guess back then that was like over 10 years ago. For me, like that was not something I would think that would be an option for me. Um, it never crossed my mind that, I needed I needed a coach. I was just like, I need to find solutions. And I was trying this and that. And I did make some progress. I did make a lot of progress, but I was not where I would like to be. And it's only a few years ago that I, got connected with this coach online, and I began to, connect with them. And it was like I was doing a lot of things right. It was just like a lot of things that I did not, was not paying enough attention to. And it just opened my eyes to the fact like something you could waste a lot of time going around in circles if you're not connected to the right person. And just connecting myself with the right person and making these little tweaks to my, in terms of how I go about things. That it made a lot of difference. Just having that guidance. So yeah, I think I definitely have, come a long way. Like I said, I doing the conventional way. I don't really like that. So, I began to more focus on a functional approach where I work on my diet, my sleep, my detox level and stuff like that. And I realized that all these things, it's not just one thing, there's a number of things working together me to really improve my health significantly so that I don't have to depend on an inhaler. I haven't been to the doctor since, in terms of having to use antibiotics and stuff like that. So for me, I feel really good about that.
Awesome. So how did it affect you financially? I know you say you go to the doctor, but did it affect your health have an impact on your finances too?
I would say yes, but I guess it didn't impact me as significant as probably other person because like our workplace had like a health, insurance, so that covers some of the cost. Otherwise, I don't know what I would do because yeah, it's constantly having to go to the doctor all the time, medication and all of that. But also, I guess in terms of stress level, because being sick and stuff, that also impact in terms of your stress level and your energy. So that's all another aspect to it as well.
I know we talked on your show.
Hmm.
Check out our show, and
Hmm.
it's the Charlene Griffith Show on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And you said that, just paraphrasing it, basically, your clients have said one thing that they struggle with was basically the food being too much, right?
Hmm.
So, in your opinion, how do they? I mean, I know my opinion. I share with you on your show, but
Hmm.
how is it a limiting belief? I mean, like in terms of them thinking that it's too expensive for eating healthy.
I mean, like, honestly, when it started, that was my same challenge. Honestly, it was, but then I began to realize, you know what? I either spend the money now or spend it, later in doctor bills. And I realized, like, if you want something bad enough, instead of saying, you know what, I can't afford to eat healthy, try to figure out, how can I afford to eat healthy? And by just reframing that, how can I afford as opposed to I can't afford, it all of a sudden I begin to see solutions to my challenge. And I make it work. It's like if you want something bad enough, you will make it work. And I have made it work for me. At first I started out, doing a lot of gardening in terms of saving money and things like that. Growing my own vegetables and things along those lines. And then like sometimes like people in your circle will exchange. And that's the beauty about it. You got a number of people growing stuff, you begin to swap and different things like that. So that's something that you can explore. But then after a while, like as you take on like have more responsibilities, then gardening become a little bit more challenging. So then, you just make sure you set aside no money so that you can actually buy your fruits and vegetables on a weekly basis. So yeah. It's like I said, if it's important enough, instead of saying it can't work, figure out how to make it work. What do you need to cut back on? What do I need to save and put aside? How can I make this thing work? And I can guarantee you, once you have the determination to make it work, ideas will come. Ideas will come, like you're gonna see people that you can connect with to, try to make this thing to come to pass or whatever, like I said, growing and exchanging foods, things like that. So it's just about reframing your way of thinking.
All right, so that's I guess two tips right there you're giving. Reframe your mindset
Mhm.
about your situation. How can I
Mhm.
eat healthier, or what? How can I make this happen? To create
Mhm.
some ideas to
Mhm.
make it happen. And in gardening, do you
Mhm.
have any other tips that you can share from your framework that you could help our audience with if they have to struggle with like you had?
There's just things like co-ops and stuff that you can join. I don't know in terms of how it is overseas, but you can join different cooperations and stuff like that, and you contribute like on a monthly basis, and then they give you like a veg box. Do you have a system like that over there? But I know there are systems like over here where you can join different co-ops. People contribute in different ways. You partner with a farmer, and then at the end of each week or whatever, they will give you like a veg box or so. So there are like opportunities out there that you can explore. Buying in bulk, you can also buy in bulk. So that's a different other avenue to explore. It's obviously cheaper. So it doesn't even only have to be you. I know like for us, like community life have deteriorated a lot, and I guess it's probably worse over there. But if you could get like a group of friends, group of family members to come together and buy like a whole set of food in bulk, and then you split it up. You know what I mean? And so the cost is a lot less because you're buying in bulk, and everybody's happy. It's just to connect with the right persons. But so, like I said, if you want me to work and over, you will find solutions and you begin to think and explore.
Awesome. So, Charlene, anything challenging that well, as we wrap up, let me say this.
Mhm.
If you were you 10 years ago
Mm,
and you felt stuck,
mhm,
like some people may be feeling stuck right now when it comes
mhm,
to their health and their finances. I'm
mhm,
the money guy, of course. You're the health guru or
mhm,
expert.
mhm.
How would you encourage a person? One thing you mentioned earlier was emotional. If you're
Right.
emotionally stressed,
Mhm,
how can you get out of the rut of thinking like, I can't afford this
mhm.
and think, how can I afford this? Help that person, would you please?
I would say is to get a wrong person that is seeking to go in the same direction that you're going. I was gonna say get a coach, but then somebody might tell me you can't afford a coach. So the simplest thing is to get around people that are going in the same direction as you. I remember it was last year I started. I decided I want to do start running. And at first, I didn't really have like any big goals in terms of how to go about it. But I connected with this running group, and so they were into more long distances. So they're used to do like 5K, 10Ks, and stuff like that. And I was so amazed. Just being in that circle, I felt challenged. So, like for me, I was just satisfied just running once a week, for 40 minutes for 5K. And then all of a sudden these guys are like, well, my personal best was 40 minutes. I want to get down to 30 minutes by the end of the year. And then all of a sudden now it's like, Charlene, you got both. You can't just be doing this and going through the motion. So it's like just being around people that that are a step ahead of you, it kind of challenges you to want to be better. It's like you can't just sit down there and just want to be normal. All of a sudden you want to get better. But just being just find a community, a circle of friends, whoever. I'm sure there are different communities online that you can join. Where you could connect with people, like many people that are going in the same direction, who can encourage you, uplift you, and go from there. Because a lot, and I started off like this, and probably wasn't the right approach. No looking back, I started off by like overhauling my entire life, like changing all my diet, like all at once, and that was crazy. I would just advise you to take small steps at a time because it can be overwhelming trying to do everything at the same time, especially if you have been doing these things for a long time. Just say that one. I'm going to start drinking more water. Probably I'm going to start, going to bed a little earlier. Include more vegetables, every meal. Just little things like that, and try to be consistent with it. Sometimes when we got these big plans, and that's why a lot of people will start off good at the beginning of the year and just fall off because the plans were not really realistic. They were not looking at their timetables, how they fit in. So it probably fit in a few months. Then you realize, sure, I got this to do. I got this family responsibility. I got to take my child this place or whatever. And then you realize, you know what? It's not working out. So just try to make small changes that fit. I mean, obviously you gotta make some adjustment, but as you include these small changes and try to be consistent with it on a daily basis, and then you build from there. And that's how momentum is built, like small, consistent changes.
Awesome. So, Charlene, how can people connect with you online, social media, website, and anything else? And anything you got coming up soon, share that please as well.
Yeah. So my handles are is Charlene K Griffith. So that's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Yeah, that's all I have. And my website is Sharon Griffith. It doesn't have the key inside, so the handle for the social media is Sharon K Griffith, and my website is Sharon Griffith. And usually, like every other week, I will have a challenge, a weight loss challenge, where I just really begin to dive into how you can lose weight after party. So I have one coming up this weekend. So if you're interested, you can jump on. Obviously, you have to register, but yeah, and you can go to my website to register. The information is all there. So that's what's coming up. So that's it. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time, Charlene.
Yes, I'm very glad that I was here. I hope the information I shared was helpful. Yes, well, so thanks again for the invitation.
Yes, man, you're welcome. So, if you want more tips about your finances, watch this video here. And thank y'all for joining. I'll see you on the next video.